On behalf of on behalf of his family, I'd like to welcome you to the last get-together that Paul Fitzgerald got to organise. I'm Paul's son Chris, and I thank you all for your support in honouring and remembering our dad. Dad wanted this to be a celebration, but he didn't appreciate that that might be hard for some. One of his sayings was, "Don't worry, the worst that can happen is that you'll die." I'm sad that the worst has happened to Dad at the age of 66. 6 months ago, he was healthy, vibrant, and talking about living to 120. He deserved to enjoy retirement, travelling and watching his grandkids grow up. It's reminded us not to take for granted the time we have here, and especially the people we're here with. One of those people is our Nana Patty, whose 97 years haven't helped to avoid the pain of saying goodbye to one of her children. The well wishes and support have made it easier, and the tribute to Dad has made us proud. I'm grateful that since finding out about his cancer, he especially wanted his kids around. It's brought us closer together, and in the last few weeks we got to hold his hand, thank him, and show him we love him. We even had a family holiday in a mansion down the coast. Had Dad been well, he would have never paid for that place. Dad believed in positive energy, and he kept telling everyone he'd be okay. It was like the time he rescued 2 boys near Malamute. They were swept out of the river mouth in a huge swell. After numerous attempts to bring them both in, one boy asked Dad what was going to happen to them. Dad said, "I told them that we'd be fine, but I thought we were probably going to die." It's been a tough time, but Paul has lived a great life and deserves to be remembered as he lived it, with plenty of love, laughter, cheesy songs from the 70s. Most of you know, Paul liked to observe all cultural traditions. Observe them so he could do something completely different. If he was here today, he'd be wearing a tie-dye shirt and waiting impatiently to sing one of his Jingle Bells tunes. Dad was loud and proud to be eccentric. His wardrobe was a great place if you had a fancy dress, particularly if the theme was 70s, 80s or bad taste. I took him to a comedy club recently, but he didn't seem to understand he was there to watch the performance and not be part of it. When I was young, Dad was so unconventional. The only way to rebel against my father was to become an accountant. Paul's profile on the beach says he's from Sirius, the dog star. I can see some of you thinking, serious? Yes, I'm afraid he was. He believed in everything from past lives and clairvoyance to the theory of Atlantis and whales escorting the Earth through the 5th dimension. Dad was an individual and usually ignored people's advice. He instead was guided by angels on surf forecasts, stock market tips, and once on how to drive a car in the snow when the brakes don't work. Last week he got to join his angels, so by now he's probably ignoring their advice as well. When my sister Jack told me a few months ago that Dad's not right, there's something wrong with his brain, my initial response was, "Thanks Jack, but I worked that out a few years ago. It's taken you 40 years and something wrong with your brain." But over the years, he showed us that not only was it okay to be different, it was actively encouraged. Occasionally, one of his bizarre ideas would verge on the genius, like the decision to buy a house on Tamarama Beach in 1982. It says something about Dad's appetite for risks, and his dream house was on the doorstep of the most dangerous beach in Australia, in New South Wales. Paul will be missed at Tamarama, where he surfed for 50 years and welcomed everyone into his home. Like most of the family, my first experience with surfing was on the front of Dad's Kool-Aid, nose diving into every wave. He was thrilled recently when the beach filled up with dolphins who came to say goodbye to their fellow surfer, and because they knew Paul wasn't there to drop in on them. For us, his memorial ground will be this beach, and we welcome everyone to help Alan and Ben do a paddle out there later. I've also fond memories of our annual skiing holidays, where he loaded his van with 7 kids and all the best equipment money could buy from a garage sale. His style was relaxed and elegant, which isn't easy when you're wearing fluorescent bell-bottoms and a lumberjack's hat. We skied in Japan, which he found challenging because they didn't know what a vegetarian is. He would ask, "Are you sure there's no meat in this?" They'd say, "No meat, just vegetables, fish and chicken." His focus would then turn to the hotel's karaoke bar. The manager liked him so much that he offered to personally drive us to a better karaoke bar. Better because it had thicker walls and was many, many miles from his hotel. Dad could talk to the angels, but he couldn't sing like one. Unfortunately, Paul's not around to hog the microphone today, but we have got several speakers to fill the void. After the paddle out, there'll be a wake at the surf club with drinks and a slideshow. So I warn you that this service may go as long as Dad's Jingle Bells poems. But to kick it off, Paul's youngest daughter, Michaela, who's here to say a few words and read a poem of her own.
Now I understand why Chris wanted us to keep all of our speeches short, because you've got like 6 more of these to go. Or 5. So, it's kind of crazy. If somebody had asked me a year ago where I would be at this point in my life, I would never in a million years imagine that I'd be up here standing and talking to you guys about everything that I've been through. But so much changes, and so quickly. And it's taught me something, is that you have to do things that are important to you now, or I have to do things that are important to me now. And I have to start telling people that I love them, because they might be gone. So that's how life is, and we learnt about that when we watched The Lion King. We all know about it. It's a little bit different when you go through it yourself, though. It feels a little bit stronger. And speaking of the circle of life, 27 years ago I was born in that house. My mother gave birth to me in that house. And a week and a half ago, my dad passed away there. But it's been a beautiful process. It's been bittersweet, but it's been really lovely, anyway. So I'm glad Chris prepared you guys for, he mentioned a few times what Dad likes to do for his speeches. He likes to utilize a popular song, and I wonder if all of you are familiar with it. I'm pretty sure most of the world know about it, because for every single event he would pretty much perform a speech to this. So in true Paul Fitzgerald spirit, I've prepared my speech to the theme of Jingle Bells. And I apologise because I only finished this at 2:30 in the morning last night, so I didn't really practice it enough. And I'll try to keep it quick. I'd like to write a thing about a special man, a man who loved to sing, and of who I am a fan. My dear and loyal Dad, you've left and gone away, but we're so happy to have had a chance for us to play. You allowed us all to grow in our own personal way. You rarely told us no, and you let us have our say. I'd like to thank you for taking such good care of me. You gave me even more than I was ever able to see. It's hard to think of you and hold back a smile. Your presence shines through and remains with me for a while. You fill my heart with light, and even though you're gone, your existence was so bright that your spirit will live on. So let's celebrate this day on earth as though it were our last, 'cause you never know, it just may be, things tend to happen fast. And let's live on in the name of our beloved Paul, who opened his heart to everyone, all creatures large and small. With open arms and open minds, perhaps we all can live a life that is so magical and as full as his. I'm so nervous. We have many great adventures, like jumping out of planes and climbing up volcanoes and skiing down mountains. I was on the beach and driving to the snow. To live joyously you did teach, and the ocean we did grow. I'm certain that you had as much fun as we did. We are fortunate to have had a father who's a big kid. We learned to be good friends, you and me and Chris, Sash and Jack and Ben, and Josh and Alex. I'd like to express my gratitude again. You know you were the best, my father and my friend. I've stopped asking why all of this must happen. It only makes me cry, and it doesn't bring you back then. And now we must say goodbye, even though we'd love you to stay here and hold our hand and help to guide us through. And finally, you get to be the angel we think of you. So spread your wings and do other things. Someday we'll catch up with you.
I can hear a bit more from Carol later.